You want to know the most misunderstood and most misleading threat to young and beginner entrepreneurs? I know the long list of people. You might say, oh, it's Kylie Jenner because she's making people have to act like they're famous and be all superficial. Or that Ty Lopez guy keeps showing off fancy cars, making people think they can get fancy cars too. No, those things aren't even on the radar about what I want to talk about. The number one most misleading person in all of entrepreneurship, this is the biggest threat to new beginners, is Elon Musk. By far, times 10, he's a meteorite coming at every new entrepreneur. And you need to be able to recognize this. Because if you're going out there and operating on the pretense that I should do as Elon does, you're going to have a fucking terrible day. Here's why. So look, I'm probably going to get crucified for this, but that's okay because I'm right. Every single time I have a live stream, I talk about some general basic concepts of business that really mess me up and have messed up almost every single person I know. Don't start multiple businesses. Have a healthy routine. Don't do X, Y, and Z. Now, I don't have the 10 commandments of entrepreneurship, and I don't know everything. I don't even know 1% of anything. That being said, the answer to this, and every other person I see that talks about anything, is always, well, Elon Musk does it differently. Elon Musk did this first. And this is really bad, because if you're thinking like this, you're going to have an absolutely terrible experience in entrepreneurship. Because the way Elon Musk has done things is very, very bad based on what most people's goals are. If you're an entrepreneur and you have anywhere near normal goals, or you're trying to build your first business, operating like Elon Musk does is going to almost guarantee you will fail, because it almost made him fail. And there's so many things and so many advantages that he had when he started his first businesses before he became the new Iron Man that you do not have. And if you're operating under the pretense that I'm going to operate like this guy, you are going to get clotheslined by reality. Let me explain first and foremost why you should probably not go out there and think, I'm going to do as Elon does. Let's look at the history real quick. So if you don't know the history of Elon, left PayPal, got 100 mil, and is rubbing shoulders with basically every successful leader in Silicon Valley. Okay, he was going to go and leave PayPal or exit PayPal with Peter Thiel. He had connections out the wazoo. So he also had access to near unlimited funding for his projects. Now, am I taking away from Elon's work ethic or anything like that? No. He also has insane work ethic. Doesn't even make sense how much this guy works. He's also brilliant and has the skill sets that comes with working at a billion-dollar company and building a billion-dollar company. He also has a skill set of developing engineering and all that comes with it. I'm not going to spell engineering because words. So that also being said, on top of that, he has access to the best talent in the world because of who he was when he left this. He was able to get really good people to come work at these companies. Now, these are all the advantages that Elon Musk had when he was starting SpaceX and Tesla. These are the two companies that give him his multi-billion-dollar net worth. So what he did is he went out there and he launched both of these companies, and he tried to start two businesses at the same time while working insane hours and operating like everybody says he operates, not eating healthy, doing all these things. And what you must understand is that even with all these advantages, the best talent in the world, $100 million, $60 million after taxes, insane work ethic, brilliance, experience working and building a billion-dollar company, engineering skills, and the top talent in the entire world, he came absolutely, if this is bankruptcy right here, and absolutely feeling this close. He was weeks away from being billions of dollars in debt with SpaceX and Tesla. Now, does this mean you shouldn't operate like Elon Musk because he took a massive risk? No, not at all. And one thing I forgot to put in the video that needs to be talked about is Elon Musk starting SpaceX and Tesla at the same time, and how starting them at the same time almost destroyed both of them when either of them would have worked fine with general ease on their own, with general ease in parentheses. See, what happened is Elon Musk was trying to work on SpaceX at the same time he was doing Tesla. And so he had to split his resources both ways. He had to go, instead of focusing all on one thing, he had to go and split it both ways, which led to the burn rates of these companies, which a burn rate is how much money they spend, being very hard. being very, very, very rapid. And so what would have happened if he had just worked on SpaceX? Here's the line of bankruptcy. It probably would have got to like here and then bounced up. This is actually what saved them originally, is when they got their first deals from NASA. So if he had just focused only on SpaceX, it would have been such a more consistent and sure bet. Now, sure bet is, again, there's no sure bet in entrepreneurship, but he would have been able to definitely achieve this without getting close to the razor's edge. But because he was working on Tesla and SpaceX at the same time, this burn rate is multiplied to the point where he got this close to it, and then SpaceX gave him more money, and then he was able to use that to save it. Now, this is what I understand from his biography and what I read. So what I'm trying to point out right here is that starting two companies was almost the surest way to ensure that both companies failed. And in entrepreneurship, what you're going to see a lot of times is you want one company to succeed. Each of these companies right here would have made him a billionaire, either one of them. And the surest fire way to make sure your companies fail is to be working on two of them at the same time. If you just focus on Tesla, this wouldn't, the same exact thing. Boom, boom. It would have gone just fine. And so we almost destroyed everything by trying to work on two things at the same time, which is, again, you need to understand his goals here in a moment. What I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is they see Elon Musk starting 5 different businesses, and so they start 5 different businesses, but they don't have any experience growing something like PayPal. They don't have engineering skills. They don't have the top talent in the world to save these businesses. It's just them. You got to realize that SpaceX and Tesla were also supported by some of the best engineers and best minds in each industry. You don't have that. It's just you most of the time, or in a staff of maybe 5 to 10 employees. Maybe 50 if you're scaling up, or maybe even 100 if you're watching this. That being said, you probably don't have access to the same talent. I'm not saying your staff isn't talented. The problem is right here, you end up destroying both of your companies. You end up destroying 3 of your companies, 4 of your companies, whatever you're working on, because you're doing 2 things at the same time, 3, 4 things. And so using the justification, Elon Musk here, is so destructive, because the surest way to make sure that none of your companies work is working on both of them. And you have to understand that one company is more than enough to get you all the money that you want. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, you don't need 10 different companies. You just need one. 2 companies that are okay ran does not equal one amazingly ran company. So you really want to focus on one thing. And we might see, time will tell, all these things Elon is doing, all of them might fail, when if he had just focused on Tesla, he could have actually changed something. We'll see down the road. What I'm saying right now, though, is that what you're looking at right here is the person who goes and puts all their money on a spot or a little tab on the roulette wheel and bets it all on there. This right here, if you look at this and you run this simulation over and over and over again, it's an extreme outlier. You first must understand that about Elon Musk and his businesses. This is what happened right here. 90% of the time, you're going to see the person end up right here. And so when you start your first business, the first thing I need to point out, there's a bunch of lessons we need to take away from this. The first thing I want to point out is when you're starting your first business, you're not going to have all these advantages. And even with the deck stacked insanely in his favor, more than anybody else in the entire world, he came this close to failure. So if you're going to go out there and operate like this guy, who operate based on a plan that basically almost destroyed everything and has an extremely high chance for failure without any of these advantages, you're absolutely nuts. See, when you're trying to start your first business, what you want to be doing, or when you're going and building any business, it applies to me, this applies to anybody who doesn't have a $100 million start off point. It applies to anybody out there that doesn't want to roll the dice and wants to go for the most consistent way to get results. You don't want to operate by the exception to the rule. If you look at most billionaires, go and take a sample of billionaires. You got Peter Thiel, you got Mark Cuban, you got Tobias Lutke at Shopify, you got Drew Houston at Dropbox, and then you got Elon Musk. All right, we take those 5 people right there. You're going to see far more patterns and consistency from 4 of those people, and then you have Elon, who's an extreme outlier. So if you want to be successful, what you want to look for is the patterns that consistently get success. You don't want to go for the one outlier, because I can show you people that have won at the lottery. I can show you people that have made tens of millions of dollars playing roulette in Vegas. I can show you all sorts of outliers and exceptions to the rule. But if you go and simulate those over and over again, they usually consistently aren't the way people get success. If you go look at other people on the flip side, you go look at Ray Dalio, you go look at Jeff Bezos, how they operated with their businesses. Yes, these people all took risk too, but they all operate in a very similar fashion. And so what you want to do when you're first going out and deciding how you want to work on your business is you want to look at the patterns, not the exceptions. And this is why Elon Musk is such a huge threat. Elon Musk, awesome guy. I'm not taking anything away from Elon Musk in this video. But so many entrepreneurs get in this and say, I'm going to operate like the outlier instead of the patterns that work. And you might be thinking, oh no, well, you want to be the person that breaks the mold. The billionaires do break the mold. $1 billion net worth is an exceptional result. Okay, that is breaking the mold 101 right there. And so you want to see people that consistently break the mold and how they do it. How they do it. Now, the next thing you need to look at, and this is why this is the most stupid thing about when people say, well, Elon Musk operates like this. You need to go when you're building your business and you need to look at people that are getting results like you want to get. So, for example, at Hyros, my company, I want to get results like Tobias Lutke, and I probably mispronounced his name. He's the CEO of Shopify, $2.8 billion net worth, extremely profitable company. That's kind of the direction I want to take my company in, because I want to have a company that has a high valuation, a ton of people working at it, and possibly could have a very large exit and does substantial things. So I operate a lot more like he does and not Elon Musk, because I don't want to operate like Elon Musk, because what Elon Musk is trying to do is change the world. He's not trying to make money. He's not trying to build these big brands. And he's going out there and doing this stuff for fun. Okay, which is what I'm doing as well. But I'm not trying to build companies like he's building. If you go look at Elon Musk's salary, he makes $37,000 to $40,000 a year. He said he won't even take a salary if he had a choice. But he has to in California. Now, is his net worth substantially higher? Yes. Is Elon Musk pretty rich? Yes. But you have to understand, the last thing this guy is trying to do is make money. His objective is not trying to make money. When he was making Tesla and SpaceX, it was to build his rocket company and build his electric car company. So it's absolutely fucking preposterous when a person is trying to start a Shopify store to make $10,000 a month in profit, a person is trying to start a consulting business so that they can pay their rent, or when a person who's trying to make $100,000 a month profit for their lifestyle, or to get a car, or to live nice and be in the upper class. It's completely fucking preposterous to go and approach it the same way this guy is. This guy is trying to put everything on red at all costs, and the last thing he wants to do is make an ROI from what he's doing. That's the last objective on his checklist. If you look at everything on Elon Musk's goals, making money is like down here. So if your goal is to make money and you want to make $100K a month, $50K a month, $20K a month, and you're like, oh yeah, but Elon Musk does this, you're fucking insane. Because that's like saying you want to be an award-winning chef, and the way you're going to become an award-winning chef is operating like a person who doesn't care about the taste of his food. That's a weird analogy, I know that, but that's what you're doing right there. You want to find people who are getting the results that you want and imitate them. Usually, if your goal is to make $10,000 to $1 million a month cash profit, which I know is most of your goals, you're going to see these people operate in a very, very, very different way. And if you actually go out there and look at most billionaires, you're going to see that they hedge their bets. If you look at Bill Gates, you go look at Warren Buffett, you go look at Steve Jobs, you go look at the guys that started Airbnb, you look at the guys at Warby Parker, which is like an eyeglass company. So many billionaires and so many entrepreneurs hedge their bets when they're starting their business. They don't Elon Musk it. They don't Elon Musk it. I hedged my bets when I started my business. Now, am I saying don't take risk? Absolutely not. Again, I am saying that when you are starting your first business, going and saying, well, Elon Musk did it, is going to be very damaging to you. Because the point I want to leave this with is so many people use Elon Musk's habits to justify terrible, terrible fucking decisions. When you first start your business, the most debilitating thing you can ever do is start multiple businesses or multiple products or try to do 20 different things at once. It is terrible. Every single person who does this, with almost out any exception, absolutely fails. And if you look at billionaires, 99.9% of them all come from one company. That's where they get their wealth from. And so when I see people going out there and they are starting this business and starting this business and they have 16 different funnels and 16 different things, it's absolutely insane. It's fucking nuts. It doesn't work, and that's why they fail. And they're doing these things without $100 million cushion. They're doing these things without access to funding. They're doing these things without access to the best talent in the world. You are insane if you're going out there and starting multiple companies because Elon Musk did. And trust me, when I was an idiot, I was like, well, Elon Musk has a bunch of companies, so I should be able to do it too. No, that's the dumbest thing I've ever thought in my entire life. And it led to me starting so much stupid shit that I just could have not done. Next, when you're going out there and your goal is radically different. So a lot of people are like, I want to be the next Elon Musk. Okay, great. That also means you don't want to make any money. You don't want to make any money. That's what you want to do. You don't want to make any money for a long time and go zillions of dollars in debt. When you think about it like that, that's probably not what you want to do. But when you go out there and try to appear like Elon Musk or some big super entrepreneur, and you get obsessed with the idea of being Elon Musk versus the actual reality of being Elon Musk, what happens is you usually do a lot of stupid shit that doesn't result in your company doing the things you want, which is most of the time making a profit. When you go out there and think, oh, I'm going to take massive risk, or I'm going to have to go all in on something, you're ignoring how 95% of billionaires became billionaires. You're ignoring how 99% of entrepreneurs get their start in entrepreneurship. Most people hedge their bets. I worked at a marketing company until I was making $20,000 a month for my business. You're ignoring the patterns that cause the results that you're trying to get. And when you go out there and you're doing things that consistently lead to failure and ignoring the patterns that consistently lead to success, you're probably going to fail. Because you probably don't have experience building a company like PayPal behind you and $100 million in the bank. Next, when you want to go out there and you want to justify your lack of discipline, I see so many people who are like, well, I'm just going to keep drinking, or I'm going to keep eating unhealthy, or I'm going to sleep in weird hours and do weird things and do all sorts of stuff like play video games still. Elon Musk plays video games. You fucking asshole. You fucking naive asshole. You need to sit down and realize for a second that Elon Musk is one of the most disciplined people on planet Earth. And so what most people like to do when they're comparing themselves to him is they like to take all the things that they like but ignore all the things that they don't like losing money or working 20-hour days. They like to be like, oh, well, Elon Musk plays video games and he'll still have scotch from time to time. And he goes and hangs out with celebrities, isn't on social media, so I should too. No, you need to stop using the guy to justify your bad habits. When you look at people who are super successful, most of the time, if you go look at someone like Kobe Bryant, you go look at someone like Jeff Bezos, you go look at someone like Tobias Lucky, you look at people who are really prioritizing your success, you're going to see these people are extremely structured, routine-driven, disciplined people. That's what you're going to see 95% of the time. You're going to see that so many times. You go look at Sam Ovens, you go look at anyone. You can throw them all out there. 90% of the time when they're building up companies, they are extremely disciplined and focused on one thing and practicing and stacking the deck in their favor. If you look at the Kobe Bryant documentary, Kobe Bryant lives, eats, and sleeps basketball, especially when he was in his prime. All he would do is go home and watch videos, maximize his health. You go look at Tom Brady. That guy is a regimented machine. And the reason why it's so awesome to say, well, Elon Musk does is because it gives you excuse not to do that. The reason why I'm summing this all up right now, there's a huge problem, not with this guy, but people following and idolizing this guy, is because people are cherry picking all the cool stuff and ignoring all the shit. And when you do that and you operate in that certain way, you're going to just be a complete goof troop of an entrepreneur. So you got to stop. And the worst thing about all of this, the most disturbing thing about all of this, is that in order to say, I'm going to operate the same way as Elon Musk, you have to also assume you're as smart as the guy. Now, I'm not saying he's the smartest person to ever live, but holy shit. You have to put yourself on the same pedestal of skill level and experience as this guy to even justify this behavior in the first place. And to that I say, I must have the smartest audience on planet Earth. I'm not saying you guys are dumb, but you get the point what I'm saying, trying to say right here. In order to put yourself on this level and say, I'm going to act like Elon Musk, you must first consider that you are as talented or as smart as Elon Musk. Now, does that mean you're not as talented as smart? No, but there's probably a good chance that you're not. So maybe you should tone yourself down a little bit and accept that, hey, maybe I'm going to have to do this like every other person ever and not this guy. So stop doing this. It's goofy. It's not good for you. It's not good expectations. And it's really just cherry picking the things you want to be successful. If you want to have these bad habits, why don't you just go cherry pick the habits of Larry the Cable Guy? Because that's really what you're trying to do here. You're just putting a more successful, cooler person into place, okay? So just shut up and admit you want to be like Larry the Cable Guy, and we can agree on something here. All right, have a nice day.